It's the Griot Nation News, where we give you the best of activism and journalism.
This is Taniqua Simmons of the Griot Nation News, and we are doing an update to the follow-up show on Political Perk with John Schmidt, the lone holdout at the Shoreline Apartments. And we're just going to speak to him today so he can give us an update on what's going on at the Shorelines. John?
Well, absolutely. We are screwed. Basically, the whole thing was taken by Norstar Corporation, which is a Canadian firm, in front of the planning board, which is a branch of the city government of Buffalo, and they rolled over and gave Norstar everything they wanted. Everything. And the interesting thing is, we fought it, of course. Push was there. They spoke out against it. Some tenant and local activists were there. They spoke out against it. I spoke out against it, and I pointed out for the second time in front of the planning board that this is an illegal plan. Okay? According to federal law, according to CFR 42, all the units torn down have to be replaced on a one-for-one basis. And they're being replaced on a one-for-1.5 basis. Okay? For every 2 units they're tearing down, they're replacing 1. Pure and simple. So what this Canadian firm has done is rob the community of over 200 units of low-income housing, and they're quality units. I mean, this place is really built. And they're replacing them with these chipboard fire traps, which are, these things are so flimsy that when the Shoreline residents saw them going up, they decided, we don't want to move there. They like to keep bragging that all 48 people in the new development, the chipboard fire traps, came from Shoreline. Yeah. That's only because we held out and we refused to move, and we put them on the spot so that they couldn't delay construction or finishing construction any longer. So they had to finally keep one of their promises and get people from Shoreline into these apartments. It's only because we held out, not because they wanted to do it.
So just to clarify, the planning board approved the demolition of the Shoreline Apartments while you are presently living there. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're trying to evict me, but simple fact is they have not done so yet. And it's still has to be taken to court, still has to be heard by a judge, still has to be ruled on, still has to be acted on. So I'm going to be there for a while yet.
Well, that's good to hear, and we, the community, stand behind you, and we salute you in your efforts. But I just wanted to reiterate, you said the planning board is an extension of the city of Buffalo government. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. They're an appointed board. All rich people, all except one are white, and their job is to basically rubber stamp what the developers want. They go through the motions, they look at the plans, they have objections, they have serious sounding talk, but in the end, they do what they're supposed to do, which is support the developers.
So here we have yet another example of government not working for the people. Here is another example of how we have government and corporations working in collusion with each other. Can you give us some insight on that?
Yeah, well, simply put, I pointed out to them for the second time that it was an illegal, according to federal law, plan. And they simply brushed it aside. Morrell, the head of the planning board, told them that it's no concern of theirs whether it's illegal or not, that their job is not to interpret federal law, it's not to enforce federal law. They are only going to rule on the suitability of the plans that were put before them. So what he basically said, and it's a paraphrase, but he basically said, it may be illegal, but we're going to approve it anyways. That's ridiculous. And in spite of the fact that I also presented them with a list of 14 continuing code violations, and code violations doesn't sound like much, but we're talking about our sub-minimal living conditions here, okay? Where everything is allowed to go to hell for half a decade, and the city inspectors do absolutely nothing. They don't show up, they don't investigate, they don't levy fines, and if they actually investigated the conditions that existed at Norstar, not just while I'm here now, but for the previous 4, 5, 6 years, there would be hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of dollars in fines owing to the city because of the conditions there. And they simply ignore it. They have never shown up. They have never done anything to condemn this foreign firm for violating the laws for which American citizens and American homeowners are fined every single day.
Yes, here you have it, people. Just another notch in the belt of crimes against the impoverished. And this is our story and the conclusion of our story of the update of what's going on at the Shoreline Apartments with John Schmidt. Tune in to Political Perk on Tuesday from 10 to 11 on Facebook Live, Griot Nation Network. This is Taniqua, I'm not having it, Simmons of Griot Nation News, signing off. Have a blessed day.
It's the Griot Nation News, where we give you the best of activism and journalism.